Thunderbirds are go. Fantastic. All right, we're recording now. Hi there. My name is Tom Timbrooks. Well, hold on a second. Thomas W. Timbrooks, and I'm running for the United States House of Representatives. That's over there in Washington, D.C. I'm sure you've heard of it. For Oregon, I will be representing Oregon's 6th Congressional District for the Republican Party. That's right, I said Republican Party in Oregon. I am a dreamer, I realize that. But my goal is to make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. It's sort of like MAGA, but it's Mosdagda. Okay? So anyways, let's get on with it. There you go. Make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. It's going to be a good one. Seriously, it is. Now, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, POTUS, Donald Trump, he just negotiated a ceasefire, peace agreement over there in Gaza. And that has been done before. He's not the first. He's not going to be the last. And more than likely, something's going to happen to destroy the peace agreement. But he did negotiate a peace agreement, a peace accord between Israel and Hamas. It's temporary. They're going to get the hostages home. In fact, I believe the hostages are home. So I thought to myself, you know, he's going all over the world and he's negotiating peace between all kinds, India and Pakistan and, Kenya and I think it's Rwanda and Kenya, all over the world. He's all over the world negotiating peace agreements between these countries. I thought, you know, how about, unification of North and South Korea. That's a big one. That's a big one now, okay? So the unification of North and South Korea is kind of an important one because here's the thing. Korea is in, it's in the Pacific, it's in Asia, but Korea is very friendly to the United States. Same thing with Japan, very friendly to Japan. Korea is kind of important because here's a situation in Korea. The population is aging, and right now Korea is in a difficult situation with food. They do not have enough, South Korea does not have enough farmland to produce enough food for its people. They import billions of dollars in food every year. So South Korea really needs to unify with North Korea because that's where, traditionally for a long time, that's where all the farmland was. Even before the Korean War, that's where all the farmland was. So I'm thinking it would be a good thing to get rid of the North Korea, South Korea thing, unify North and South Korea, and what could happen there? A lot of good stuff could happen. The unified Korea could join with Japan, and they could, have a good political effect on the region. Okay, so that would be a good thing. And I'm thinking, hey, if anybody can do it, Donald Trump can do it, and the time is now. There's no time like the present. So let's see if maybe Donald Trump can unification North and South Korea. I didn't say that right. Okay, let's see if Donald Trump can unify North and South Korea. Okay, so here we go. This is North Korea and South Korea. It's right by Japan, and it's a pretty hefty chunk of land. If you look at the comparison, I mean, North and South Korea are almost as big as Japan is in its entirety. North Korea is a very sizable chunk of land, and right now it is not effectively managed. Effective management could provide North Korea with an opportunity to be a powerhouse. I mean, agriculturally, they could provide for themselves, for South Korea, Japan. They could do a lot of good if we could just allow the people of North Korea to be free, to live in a free market, and not worry too much about, their oppressive regime. So a little bit, here's the goal. The end of the Korean War. Okay, so the goal here, I kind of misplaced these slides. Let's go with this one first, okay? Since the armistice signed in 1953, North and South Korea have technically remained at war, as no formal peace treaty was ever concluded, only a ceasefire agreement that halted open hostilities along the demilitarized zone. The absence of a permanent peace has allowed the North Korean regime to operate under the guise of a perpetual state of conflict, maintaining strict internal control and military escalation as tools of survival. In this context, the local and just path to final peace on the peninsula would be through a negotiated surrender of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, that's what the North Koreans call themselves. Under such a framework, President Donald J. Trump, whose leadership style and prior diplomatic engagement with Kim Jong-un established a precedent for direct and results-oriented negotiation, would serve as the principal negotiator for that surrender, guiding both the denuclearization of the North and a peaceful unification of the Korean people under a free and open Republic of Korea. And I'm going to go back here. The goal will be the end of the Korean War with a formal instrument of surrender by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, enable rapid denuclearization, and force a stand down, fold the population into the Republic of Korea. That would be the North Korean population into the Republic of Korea, and a controlled, incentivized exit for the regime. Okay, so my suggestion here is to offer the elites a credible, safe, verifiable path out of the country and out of power in exchange for total weapons relinquish and an orderly handover. So these are the people we're talking about here, Kim Jong-un and his political elites. There are only a few thousand political elites in North Korea and Kim Jong-un. So here's the deal mechanics. What gets signed by whom? Okay, so the instrument of surrender, immediate ceasefire, peace treaty conversion, timeline 30-60 days, complete, verifiable, irreversible dismantlement, that's CVID. If you see CVID later on in the presentation here, that's what it means, complete, verifiable, irreversible dismantlement of nuclear and missile programs plus biochemical declarations. The stand down and cantonment of conventional forces, border control transferred to a joint ROK UN command. Now, cantonment is different than containment. Cantonment is just give up and be set free. Containment is give up and be kept under control. Okay, so continuity of civil services. So local administrators stay in place under ROK supervision for 90 to 180 days. And that means the people who are in place in North Korea, they will hand over everything, and it'll take 90 to 180 days to get it going there. Okay, so the Elite Exit Protocol, EEP, okay, who qualifies? The Kim family, the Politburo, State Affairs Commission, Corps Generals, the Intel heads, the tier lists, consideration, escrowed compensation plus guaranteed third country resettlement only after milestones are met. Okay, and I think in my slides I forgot to put a slide in there saying this is how we're going to go about it. We are just going to pay them money. We are going to go up there with truckloads of money, and we are just going to start shoveling that money into their driveways until they say, okay, that's enough, I'll leave Korea. Here's my rationale for that. The people who are in control in North Korea right now, they really don't want to be there, but they can't really go anyplace else. I mean, let's say you have, I don't know what the Korean money is, the North Korean money is, but it's worthless. There is nobody in the world, if you drive up to a bank in, I don't know, Hawaii, let's say you escape North Korea with just a box full of money. The most money that, North Korea can make, okay? You've got this box full of money. You go to a bank in Hawaii, you're like, all right, I made it to America. Here's my box full of North Korean money. How much is it worth in American dollars? They're going to look at you like nothing. Yeah, nobody wants North Korean money. In fact, the box itself, the box that the money is in, is worth more than the money that is inside the box, okay? So these people living in North Korea, they have money that is worth absolutely nothing. So they may be extremely wealthy and very well off in North Korea, but in the rest of the world, no, not so much. So the same thing with Kim Jong-un. The only reason he is really safe and wealthy is because the Chinese and the Russians are propping him up. And the Chinese and Russians have both expressed interest in no longer propping up the regime. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of hassle, and they don't always know exactly how Kim Jong-un is going to act. So my suggestion is this: you just take a whole bunch of money and offer it to Kim Jong-un and the rest of the people who are in charge. Kim Jong-un, it's going to take probably $2 or $3, maybe $5 billion to get him out of there. And the rest of the people, I don't know, $2, $3 million a piece. So that's probably another $3 or $4, maybe $5 billion to get all of them to get up and get out. So just get up and get out of North Korea. Leave the South Korean people with the North Korean people so that they can be retrained and shown how to live a normal life without an oppressive regime breathing down your neck literally every minute of the day. Okay, so that's what my suggestion is just pay them off. Okay, so the milestones we're looking at is so the exit protocol here, the milestones will be full target list and facility maps. So we're going to want to know all their military stuff. The IAEA and OPCW access begins. That's the governing bodies that are going to come into North Korea and make sure everything is defused. Warheads, fissile material shipped, and that's, getting rid of all the nuclear stuff in North Korea. Missile airframes destroyed, command and control keys surrendered, border units stand down, and public renunciation of authority. And that's where Kim Jong-un will just go in front of his people and probably make up some BS thing about, hey, the war is over, and guess what? North Korea has won. We have negotiated a peaceful surrender of South Korea. So, the military up here is no longer needed. There will be a peaceful exchange. And, we won. We won. And in a way, North Korea will have won because they're going to be getting rid of Kim Jong-un and all of his militaristic nutbags that are in charge of the place. Okay, so whatever needs to be done, however the North Korean people need to be addressed and convinced, just do it. Go ahead and do it. Just get the oppressive regime people out of there, give them a whole bunch of money, and boom, they're gone. Okay, so the payment for exit architecture to keep it legal and ethical. The funding source has got to be an international peace and restitution trust seeded by allied contributions plus a portion of seized illicit DPRK assets. The Victims Relief Fund, that's going to be a separate pool for North Korean defectors, prisoners, families, and forced labor survivors. And we're going to announce it publicly to balance the optics. The legal cover, the UN Secretary Council-backed sanctions waivers tied to milestones, domestic legislations, and ROK U.S. authorizing conditional immunity, compensation to effect surrender. Non-transferable, clawbackable funds, freeze, forfeit if any non-compliance is verified. So do it or you won't get paid. Do it and you will get paid. Sounds good? I mean, I would like this deal. The security package, the nuclear 90-day cold capture of all warheads, the 6-month removal of fissile material, 12-month dismantlement of production sites, the missiles. We're going to disable the TELs, which is transporter electric launcher, first 72 hours, destroy engine test stands, decommission factories, and convert space launch assets under Republic of Korea control. The conventional forces, the cantonment sites with ROK-led DDR, disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. Unit by unit vetting of officers, salary continuation for enlisted for 6 to 12 months to prevent banditry. Because, you know, I mean, we had that same situation happen in Iraq when America went in and took over Iraq. You had all of the former military people, and they're sitting there saying, we don't have jobs. You know, we were in the military, but now, you know, we don't have jobs. What do we do? And America is just like, I don't know, go out on the street, beg, right? That led to ISIS. Okay, so ISIS was created because America caused the unemployment of all the military people. We don't want that happening in North Korea. We want to make sure that the Korean, you know, the North Korean military, I mean, they're just doing what they're told to do at gunpoint. You know, they're a military organization. It's not their fault. They are doing what any person would do in any country, anywhere. They're joining the military to defend their country. We want to make sure that they're paid for a while until they can figure things out so that they don't create their own military extortion ring and they don't start getting into you know, organized crime and like that. So we want to make sure that the North Korean military continues to get paid and you know, continues to have a decent lifestyle until we figure out what to do with them. So there's that. The governance transition, how you absorb 25 million people. So the legal status, you are going to invoke the Republic of Korea constitutional claim over the peninsula, pass a Transitional Administration Act creating a 24-month Northern Provinces Authority, NPA, under the ROK Ministry of Unification. ID and registry, the Emergency Biometric Civil Registry for all residents, prerequisite for food, health care, and stipends. So basically, when they move north, people are going to need to identify people and, you know, make sure everybody gets what they need. So, you know, this is part of the governance situation. So money and markets, instant currency stabilization, limited dual currency window, where North Korea will be able to bring their dollars, North Korean people will be able to take their North Korean money down to South Korea and exchange it for, you know, food, energy subsidies, price control, whatever. Just long enough to avoid the shock, then phased liberalization. Oh, got to have that water. Voice box gets itchy. The services surge. The triage teams for power, water clinics, teacher stipends, reopen ports, rail under ROK standards. And Justice, Truth and Restitution Commission, not a purge. Mid and low-level functionaries get amnesty for cooperation. High-level perpetrators face conditional leniency or prosecution depending on verified crimes. And we all know what's going to happen there is we want North Korea to surrender badly enough that we will talk to these people who have committed all these atrocities and done a lot of bad things. We'll write it down in a notebook, and then all of those records will conveniently be lost somehow. And that's, you know, it's a terrible thing, but if we want them to surrender completely, that's sort of the condition that we have to rely on, okay? So we can't go up there saying, hey, if you surrender unconditionally, we'll send you to jail for the rest of your life, or maybe give you a nice electric chair. They aren't going to surrender. Okay, there's going to be some backlash. So even the worst of the perpetrators are probably going to get total amnesty. Regardless of whatever you did, you're going to get a whole bunch of money, and you're going to be allowed to move to China or Russia or just someplace else. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen there. So now we're going to have to talk with China, Russia, and Japan. Pre-baked diplomacy. China is going to offer buffer assurances. No U.S. ground forces north of the old DMZ after D-Day plus 180. Prioritize Chinese contracts for non-strategic reconstruction. Joint refugee management plan. So basically, America is going to walk away from Korea militarily. We're going to reduce our military presence there, and we will not go into North Korea. There will be no militarization of North Korea. Its whole function, North Korea's whole function will be to develop farmland so that South Korea can be fed. And Russia, we're going to have to talk with Russia too. So de-link the Ukraine sanctions from the Korean settlement, offer observer status and verification to reduce spoiler incentives. So yeah, we're going to have to suck up to Russia also. But like I said, this is a big plan. It's a big idea. It's going to require some big incentives. So for Japan, we're going to have to coordinate this missile dismantlement and maritime security. The Japanese ODA for ports. So what is it? The authority, whatever the ODA is, I forget. For ports and demining fisheries. So there's going to be a lot of stuff for the three major countries that are going to, four major countries. Four countries are going to be affected by this. Number one, Korea. Okay, so Korea is going to be affected by this big time, but they're already affected by it with this proxy war that's been happening since the 1950s. So it's going to be in 28 years. It's going to be 100 years. So it's a long time. Okay, so the Korean War should never have happened. Okay, first of all, it's established that the Korean War should never have happened. It's a proxy war. Russia decided that Korea would be better off communist. You see, what happened was, before World War II, Japan started its military conquest of China. Well, first of all, they went into Korea, they took over Korea. And then they took over part of China called Manchuria. So a big swath of that area was under Japanese control. And then World War II happened, and they lost control of Manchuria and Korea, and they were pushed back to Japan. Everybody knows that. You've seen the World War II channel. Okay, so after all that happened, after World War II happened, the Russians decided, hey, Korea has been under Japanese control for a long time, and Russia and Japan have been enemies for a long time. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Russia went into Korea and helped them out with communism? Yeah, sure, why not? So Russia went into Korea thinking, we'll turn this place communist. And then the United Nations said, no, Russia, you're not going to turn it communist. We're going to push you back. And so the United Nations forces pushed the forces all the way back to the Yalu River, all the way back to China. And then China got involved, and they just poured over the border. Hundreds of thousands of Chinese just poured over the border and pushed the United Nations forces back to the parallel where they're at right now. So it is a proxy war. Korea had nothing to do with the Korean War. Okay, they didn't want it. They didn't need it. They didn't ask for it. They didn't ask for North and South Korea to be created. Okay, Korea has been a pawn in this whole thing the whole time. So the Korean War should never have existed. It shouldn't exist now. And the country that is suffering the most is Korea. Okay, so the unification of North and South Korea into Korea will take Korea back to, before the Japanese invaded, before World War II. And I actually think the Japanese may have invaded just after World War I happened. I can't remember exactly when the Japanese invaded Korea, but yeah, it was under Japanese occupation for quite some time, and then World War II happened. So yeah, the whole Korean War thing should never have happened. It's a proxy war, and so Korea is the country that is most affected by what happens here because it's Korea, okay? So China is, the entire northern part of Korea is, here's China, here's Korea. Okay, so they're neighbors. So China is another country that's going to be affected by the unification of Korea. So yeah, they're going to want to be talked to. Russia is another big player in this whole thing because, I mean, during the whole campaign, Russia supplied all the weapons, all the guns, all the stuff. China supplied all the people. So that happened. And Japan, they're affected because they're neighbors also, and fishing fleets and all this other stuff happening. So those are the big players that are the situation's going to affect. So yeah, that's going to, each one of them is going to play a part in this. So the likely pushbacks and the counters, my counters. I put your counters, what I meant, my counters, okay? So you're paying war criminals. Yeah, we're paying for compliance, not crimes. Funds are escrowed, clawbacked, and paired with victim relief funds and a truth restitution track. But like I said, these people aren't going to surrender if they know that they're going to go to jail. So more than likely, anything that they did is just going to be hidden away. The documents will be conveniently lost and like that. So sanctions prohibit this. Well, we secure UN-blessed waivers. We tie to strict milestones and third-party audits. Okay, that was the milestones thing I talked about a minute ago. This rewards nuclear blackmail. Well, the alternative is permanent nuclear risk. This deal eliminates the arsenal under inspection and ends the war. Okay, chaos and refugees. Well, DDR salary bridges, food energy surges, and the gendarmerie task force minimize the collapse dynamics. So these are things that are being anticipated. So yeah, the risk register, the military hardliners defect from the deal. Well, early command buy-in, guarantee pensions and relocation for brigade level officers who sign unit stand-down pledges. Hidden warheads or labs, whistleblower bounties, plus blanket amnesty for 1st Confessor Unit, the satellite tasking, and environmental sampling. Elite flight without compliance. Travel bans remain until each milestone. Air corridors controlled by our Republic of Korea and UN. And plus, nobody is going to take off because, like I said, North Korean money is worth absolutely nothing. So, what are they going to do? Take $1 million of nothing with them? So, yeah, that's not going to happen. Domestic backlash in the Republic of Korea. Front load victims relief, publish monthly verification bulletins, and require National Assembly ratification. So these are things that we're anticipating these situations also. So, and the Trump as negotiator lane. Okay, You can absolutely cast this as a leader-to-leader surrender negotiation. The unique value add to emphasize speed plus personal guarantees to elites, credible to them, because Donald Trump is a person who has gotten some credibility. Okay, it's paired with the teeth, the snapbacks, ability to bundle China assurances, UN waivers, and U.S. security guarantees into one package. A deadline-driven summit sequence that compresses decision time and raises the cost of stalling. So that's the whole thing. See, Donald Trump is getting a lot of credibility all over the world because of everything that he is doing. So, like I said, if anybody can negotiate this peace, this surrender to happen, it's Donald Trump. Okay, so having him as the negotiator would beat out anybody. So it could potentially happen, but most likely it would happen under Donald Trump because of the credibility that he has actually developed in the past, what, 6-9 months that he's been president. Okay, so 30, 60, and 90-day timeline, how it could actually unfold. Days 0 to 7, the quiet back channel to Kim's inner circle, circulate term sheet and EEP, secure Chinese neutrality signal. So the first 7 days are going to be really big. Get Kim and the elite out of there as quickly as possible so that you're not going to have crazy riots and stuff. 80 to 30, Geneva or Panmunjom, the framework initial hotline restoration, site list delivered, advanced IAEA team pre-positioned, okay, at days 31 through 60, instrument of surrender signed, border stand down, first warheads transferred, Kim's inner circle moved to a holding country pending milestone 2 verification, and more than likely that holding country will be China or Russia, one of those two, and I'm sure he'll live very well in either one of those countries, and he'll be happy to have a few billion American dollars along with him. He's going to have a really nice house and all the prostitutes he can strangle for until he dies. So days 61 through 90, the missile site demolition begins, cantonment starts, NPA law passes in Seoul, humanitarian surges goes live. So this whole thing, all of this is just preliminary. We don't know exactly how long it will take, but we have a schedule. And because we have a schedule, we have an idea of what to do first, the preliminaries, all the actions, what we need to do, when it needs to get done, and what is a realistic idea for the time frame. All of that stuff coming together, and we have an estimate. Now, of course, no project is perfect. Things are going to happen, and communication is going to break down. Weather problems, and crazy people, naked hippies all over the place. But we have a schedule. That's the important part. We have a possible schedule. Okay, so. To end the war by offering the rulers a safe, conditional exit and pay upon verifiable disarmament while we provide for victims and families of prison camp victims. The offer, surrender for a safe exit, the teeth, CVID, I told you you were going to see that again, cantonment, verification, snapbacks, whistleblower bounties, the people, ID registry, clinics, power, water surge, stipends, school reopenings, and DDR. The neighbors, assurances to China, roles for Japan, and Russia observer lane. The finish line, the peace treaty conversion, NPA sunset, start elections under Republic of Korea law. So like I said, we got that. Now the benefits of Korean unification. So The agricultural self-sufficiency. South Korea imports over 70% of its food supply each year, spending billions of dollars. North Korea provides large areas of fertile, underused farmland. Modern South Korean agricultural technology could transform the North's rural regions into major food-producing zones. The unified nation could achieve food independence, stabilize prices, and reduce reliance on global supply chains. So that's a good thing for the South Korea and just Korea as a whole. So expanded labor force and demographic balance. South Korea faces a rapidly aging population and one of the world's lowest birth rates. North Korea's younger population adds millions of potential workers to the economy. Training and integration programs could convert this population into a productive workforce. The demographic balance would strengthen long-term industrial and economic stability. So that's a good thing for North and South Korea. So the economic integration and industrial expansion. North Korea holds vast natural resources such as coal, iron, rare earth minerals, and hydroelectric capacity. Rebuilding North Korea's infrastructure, the roads, ports, energy grids, would create massive employment and investment opportunities. The unified Korea would become a trade hub linking Japan, China, and Russia through rail and maritime networks. The combined economic output could elevate the unified Republic of Korea to a top 5 global economy within a few decades. That's much better than having what they've got now for another 28 years to make it, 100 years, right? So regional security and stability. A unified Korea ends the last unresolved conflict of the Cold War. The removal of nuclear threats would allow for reduced military tension in the Pacific. The U.S., Japan, and China could scale back costly deterrence operations. This creates an anchor of peace in East Asia, promoting cooperative trade and diplomacy. So that's all good stuff. So far it's win, win, win. Okay, so global humanitarian and symbolic impact. The unification ends 70 plus years of division and authoritarian oppression in the North. The liberation of 25 million North Koreans marks a major human rights milestone, and it demonstrates that diplomacy and negotiation can achieve what warfare could not. It becomes a symbol of hope for other divided or oppressed nations worldwide. So everything there is good. I mean, it's always good to end a war. And this war has been going on for a very long time, and it's just really not good for anybody. And especially since, like I said before, it's a proxy war. It should never have happened. The Korean people have been suffering ever since the Japanese occupation. So the Japanese occupation, then the Russian and Chinese occupation, and then the American, Japanese, United Nations occupation. Just get everybody out of Korea who doesn't have anything to do with Korea, and let Korea live by autonomously. They don't need us there telling them what to do and how to live. They don't need anybody in control of their country except Koreans. So this will provide an opportunity to give Korea back over to the Koreans, which will be good for everybody. There are no losing scenarios here. It's all win, 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 win. Okay? So projected economic and strategic gains in the 10 to 20 year outlook. Economic growth. A unified Korea's GDP could surpass $5 trillion within 2 decades, placing it among the world's top 5 economies. The integration of North Korea's natural resources, labor, and industry could add 2 to 3% annual growth to South Korea's current trajectory. Agricultural self-sufficiency and reduced import costs could save over $30 billion per year in food expenditures. That's a good thing. Infrastructure and trade expansion. The reconstruction of the North's roads, ports, and energy grids would generate millions of new jobs. A trans-peninsula rail network could link Busan and Beijing and Vladivostok, turning Korea into a Central Pacific trade corridor. Enhanced logistics would cut shipping times between Asia and Europe by up to 30%, boosting global commerce. So everybody wins there. The regional stability dividend. De-escalation of military tensions would reduce defense spending by 20 to 25 billion annually for Korea and allied nations. How much money is the United States spending keeping Korea militarized? That could go away, all right? So the stable Korean governance would lower the risk of premium on East Asian trade routes, attracting long-term foreign investment. The Pacific region gains a permanent peace buffer, easing U.S., China, Japan competition over the peninsula. The global impact, the unification demonstrates that peaceful negotiation can resolve nuclear crises, setting a model for global conflict resolution. The elimination of one of the world's last nuclear-armed rogue states strengthens global non-proliferation efforts. Enhanced trade stability benefits every major economy from the U.S. to the EU via secure Pacific supply chains. So the global impact is a very, very positive. Now the transition challenges and mitigation strategies, because there are going to be transition challenges. I mean, this is a big thing. China is really dug into Korea economically, and they're a big player in this. Okay, China, Russia, Japan, they're very big players, and plus Korea, I mean, they're going to want everything done right too. This is going to be good for everybody, and there's going to be a lot of people who want a part in it. So they're going to create these challenges and impediments in the hope that, well, maybe I can get some a little something out of the situation too. So yeah, we have to prepare for that kind of thing. So the economic shock and cost of integration. Absorbing North Korea's fragile economy could initially cost $1 to $2 trillion US over a decade. Infrastructure, energy, and social welfare systems would need rapid modernization, and that would be possible through we've got a lot of possibilities there, and this could be mitigation. The phase-in approach funded through international reconstruction bonds, public-private partnerships, and UN-administered aid programs to distribute the financial load globally. And what I'm thinking of is we've got these small they're called small modular reactors. They're basically nuclear power supplies. It's just a small modular nuclear power supply. And I mean, these are the up and coming technology for nuclear power. And I mean, we could put those all over North Korea and, to do a proof of concept. And once North Korea has shown the proof of concept, we could put these small modular reactors all over the world. So this would be a good thing also. Challenge governance and administrative transition. The collapse of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea leadership could leave a governance vacuum in the northern provinces. The risk of corruption or lawlessness during the power shift and mitigation, we're going to establish a Northern Provinces Authority, the NPA, under Republic of Korea leadership for a 24-month transitional period, ensuring law, order, and continuity of public services. So this challenge has been looked into. Humanitarian and cultural integration. North Korean citizens may suffer psychological and cultural shock when exposed to open market systems. And right now, Yeah, they're under a weird situation there, man. Decades of propaganda and isolation require long-term rehabilitation. The mitigation, we're going to launch a national reunification education initiative providing cultural orientation, civic education, and economic literacy programs throughout the North. Water, good stuff. So challenge number 4, the security and weapons proliferation. Rogue officers or remnants of the DPRK military could attempt to sell weapons or resist surrender. The mitigation here, immediate disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. That's the DDR, disarmament, demobilization, reintegration, that's DDR, programs combined with international verification, IAEA, OPCW, and U.S. Republic of Korea intelligence coordination. We're going to deploy joint gendarme forces to stabilize border and key installations. So that has been considered, and the mitigation has been considered also. So another challenge, the external political interference. This comes from Japan, China, and Russia, of course, and plus the UN and everybody who's meddling in the affairs of Korea, who shouldn't be, but they are anyhow. The neighboring powers, China, Russia, may seek to influence or disrupt the unification process. The mitigation here, we're going to maintain transparent, multilateral agreements, ensuring no foreign military occupation north of the former DMZ. We're going to offer economic cooperation incentives to neighboring nations to align their interests with a stable, unified Korea. The Democratic Republic of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the ASEAN nations. The N stands for nations, so it should just be ASEAN, but hey, well, whatever. Now, this is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It's Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore. Yeah, Singapore is actually a country. It's a tiny little country, but it is a country. Brunei is also a tiny little country, but yeah, it's still a country. Malaysia and Indonesia. Okay, so this is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The core concept here, establish a coalition, well, oh gosh, what was I talking about there? If we combine Japan and the newly reunited Korea in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, that would be a good thing. We could have a constitutional republic in the Pacific consisting of these 12 states. Okay, so the core concept here is establish a coalition of democratic nations in Southeast and Southeast Asia. In East and Southeast Asia, anchored by a newly unified Republic of Korea. We could promote constitutional governments, like I said, a constitutional republic with these 12 nations, free markets, and mutual defense among ASEAN members and aligned Pacific partners. The purpose is going to be to strengthen regional stability through democratic solidarity. We're going to counter authoritarian expansion by offering an alternative model of prosperity through freedom, position the Pacific as the world's engine of peace, trade, and innovation. So the role of the Unified Republic of Korea will be moral and political example. Korea's peaceful unification through negotiated surrender and reintegration demonstrates that diplomacy can defeat dictatorship. A unified Korea symbolizes the transition from division to freedom, providing inspiration to developing democracies. The economic anchor, with a combined GDP exceeding $5 trillion, a unified Republic of Korea would be a foundational economy for the ASEAN region. The agricultural self-sufficiency in the North and industrial excellence in the South create a balanced economic model for regional partnership. The strategic stabilizer, it serves as a buffer and a bridge between China, Japan, and ASEAN nations. It offers logistical corridors and shared defense agreements that secure Pacific trade routes. The framework for the Democratic Republic of the ASEAN nations, DRAN, the founding principles: freedom of speech, religion, and enterprise as non-negotiable rights, mutual defense pact ensuring collective deterrence without aggression, the open markets and shared innovation zones to drive sustainable development, a rotational leadership council modeled on a constitutional republic structure. The membership path it's going to start with ASEAN democracies, the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, emerging. Yeah, Vietnam is an emerging democracy. It's still communist to a certain point, but they are emerging as an open market. Expand to include the Unified Republic of Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and Pacific Island democracies. It's going to offer observer status to nations transitioning towards democracy. So this is all the much bigger picture. First, we want to unify the Korean Peninsula. Then the rest of this stuff can happen. Economic and security integration. The economic integration. We are going to create Democratic Pacific Trade Corridor connecting the Republic of Korea, Japan, and ASEAN manufacturing hubs. Joint investment in green energy, AI, and semiconductor ecosystems to reduce dependency on China's supply chains. Shared maritime resources and environmental protection zones in the South China Sea. Security integration. Joint naval and cyber defense coordination centers hosted by Unified Republic of Korea established a DRAN peacekeeping command for regional humanitarian and anti-piracy missions. We're going to reduce regional arms race through transparency agreements and shared monitoring. Global impact and long-term vision. So this is the big picture here, okay? So for the Pacific region, it establishes the first fully democratic political and economic bloc in Asia. It provides a counterbalance to authoritarian influence while avoiding military escalation. It enhances regional identity built on freedom, prosperity, and shared destiny. For the world, creates a Pacific partnership of democracies aligned with NATO, the EU, and the Americas. It strengthens global supply chain resilience through diversified democratic production. It sets a 21st century model for peaceful integration and democratic expansion. President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. The peaceful unification of the Korean Peninsula would do more than end one of the world's longest unresolved wars. It would ignite a new era of democratic prosperity across the Pacific. A unified Republic of Korea, reborn from division, would stand as proof that freedom, when guided by courage and vision, can overcome tyranny without bloodshed. By transforming the Korean War's ceasefire into a binding peace, the region could move beyond deterrence towards cooperation. Under the leadership of President Donald J. Trump and with the support of allied nations, the unified Republic of Korea could become the cornerstone of a greater alliance, a democratic republic of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, DRAN. Linking economies, cultures, and defenses under the shared banner of liberty. Together, these nations could forge the most prosperous and stable region on Earth, ensuring that the Pacific becomes not the world's next battleground, but its beacon of peace, progress, and freedom. Let's see if I got another. I don't have another slide after that. That's the end of the whole thing. So basically what I'm saying is this. North and South Korea will become a unified Korean republic. It's going to happen eventually. We have a golden opportunity now to make it happen. The costs may be a little bit high. Right now we have a lot of sanctions against the Russians. The Russians are suffering because of all the stuff that's happening in, what should we call it, in the place there, I forget the name, the blue and yellow flag. Because of the Russian aggressions going on in Ukraine. America has got lots and lots of, now I've forgotten the other word. Anyways, a lot of bad stuff's happening. America is causing a lot of bad stuff to happen for Russia economically. And Russia is probably, if Russia agrees to the North-South unification, Russia is probably going to say, hey, take sanctions. That's the word I was looking for, sanctions. That's how you know I'm not AI, okay? I'm not AI because I keep on forgetting these words. I'm old, so there you go, okay? Russia's probably going to want all of the sanctions lifted. Lift all the sanctions against Russia, and then we can talk about letting North and South Korea become unified. And that, see, because of the fact that North Korea shares a border almost entirely with China, I think a very small part of it is with Russia. China would be the big player, but Russia would have a little bit of skin in the game also. So they would probably want some of the sanctions released, and it might be a bargaining chip for them. It could possibly help to bring an end to the Ukrainian war there. Okay, so I think that having Donald Trump in office right now provides the world with a golden opportunity for the reunification of North and South Korea. That, like I just said, through the entire thing, there is no downside to the reunification of North and South Korea. It's all positive stuff. So I think it's something that should happen. It could cost 10, 20, maybe $30 billion. But like I said, South Korea imports $30 billion worth of food every year. If it costs less than $30 billion to reunify North and South Korea, then South Korea is actually coming out ahead, because at some point it won't take a year for North Korea to start growing crops again. I mean, all the farmland up there, very useful, very productive farmland. So I know that this is a very big thing, and it's a dream. I mean, this is kind of a pipe dream. I don't expect it to happen, but you never know what you get unless you ask for it. So this is one of the things that we don't know what we're going to get. Let's ask for it, see if we get it. If we don't, well, at least we asked for it, because there's always a possibility you could get what you ask for, okay? I mean, that's why you buy lottery tickets, right? So there you have it. So anyways, that's what I mean. That's why my presentation here, it's the whole presentation. That's all I got. So the 10 top things I want to do whenever I get to Washington, D.C. Remove $5 trillion from the national debt. I've discussed that. Propose the 28th Amendment for transparency and financial incentives. Secure America's digital infrastructure by requiring PLCs be built domestically. Tuberculosis and polio screening for all migrants as well as food workers. The 5-pillar blueprint to empower local governments. Protecting our law enforcement through the Reasonable Operational Space Act. Requiring early measles vaccination, the American Talent First Act to ensure American workers are prioritized for American jobs, the immunotherapy for cancer research, and that's something we do in Oregon right now, and in-person voting. I want to get all that stuff done, okay? So I support President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's not going to get it this year, but maybe next year, and if he can reunify North and South Korea, there's no way he won't get the Nobel Peace Prize. So MAGA, Make America Great Again. Yes, I am a MAGA Republican, but my primary concern is to make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. So I am a Musk-dagged Republican before I am a MAGA Republican. But I am a MAGA Republican, and you can see by the picture there, I am a very good-looking guy, too. So, there you go. I am Thomas W. Timbrooks. I'm running for the United States House of Representatives for Oregon's 6th Congressional District for the Republican Party. I am going to make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate your listening. And thank you very much. And you guys take care of yourselves.